Hey everybody, p-brane here. I want to talk about this disturbing stuff that's going on in our country right now. Obviously, we started with this FAKE pandemic or dem panic, right? Um, and now that's morphed into this other quite possible PSYOP on the GEORGEFLOYD, right? Not even allowed to say his name. How ridiculous is that? Or, they just keep, I have comments, I'm putting comments up on videos, and as soon as I hit reply, they're disappearing. Um, Even, for whatever reason. Okay. So what I want to talk about are these protests. All right. Let me just first of all say obviously they're completely out of hand. They've gone off the rails. Now, and I'm saying even the quote-unquote peaceful protests, and here's what I mean. You have the right to protest, to peacefully assemble, is what the Constitution says, and the Bill of Rights. Peaceably assemble. You can do that. And we have freedom of speech, right? But you don't have the freedom of speech to go into a movie theater and yell, in a crowded movie theater, and yell fire and cause chaos, panic, and people getting trampled and what have you. You're not allowed to lie and do something like that. That becomes borderline criminal. I believe you can be held criminally liable for that. All right? You are allowed to peacefully assemble and protest. But once your protest, your being out on the streets, provides cover for arsonists and robbers and murderers and assaulters and anarchists who are just destroying property and, robbing and stealing, looting, rioting, blah, blah, blah. Once you are starting to provide cover for them, you need to stop and you need to get off the streets. Even though you have a right to be out there, you need to stop and get off the streets so that only the riotous, looting mobs are left. So the police and the military, whoever, can deal with them. So you being out there and staying out there is wrong, and you are now an accomplice. So this thing about peaceful protesters now is totally bogus. There's no such thing. You are as innocent as the driver is for armed robbers. In our law, the guy who's driving the car is also charged with the armed robbery, even though he didn't commit the armed robbery, because he's helping them. Anything that you do that is, if I'm outside and let's say I'm doing whatever, I got a guitar and an amp and I'm making a lot of noise, and I go over to this area and I plug in my guitar and I make all this noise, and all these people come and hear me and watch and are distracted by me, and meanwhile some looters and robbers are using that noise and that distraction to continually break into properties or do something. You get the point of what I'm saying. If I'm somehow aiding these gangster criminals, then I need to stop what I'm doing. I need to, especially I'm aware, I'm conscious that this is going on. These protesters, quote unquote, they know what's going on. They know all the damage and the carnage that's taken place. And yet if they're remaining out there, they're either that unconscious, so self-centered and selfish, and for this, what? Over this guy? This guy becomes the martyr. I mean, they did it back with the Rodney King way back in the 90s. Again, making this hero out of a criminal. No, did this recent guy, FLOYD, should he have died like that? If he even did die, I think this whole thing's a FAKE, right? It's not real. But let's say he did. Nobody should die like that. Cops are supposed to take you to jail, not kill you. It obviously was so ridiculous to have 4 cops on top of the guy. Talk about overkill. He's handcuffed with his hands behind his back, and they're all on top of him? Oh, come on. This just screams fake, over the top, to try to, incite. Just like the Rodney King Okay, he took them on a high-speed chase. He resisted arrest. He was high on all kinds of drugs. So they show the footage out of context of them beating on him, right? He's resisting arrest. They beat him up. What is the signal they sent out to the public? Look, your masses has beaten you. Your masses, you slaves, look at you. And they got them all riled up, and they burned down the country. And now here they are doing it again over another guy who, if he's even real, what the account they give us is that he spent a few years for a home invasion. He's got a rap sheet. He's not a good guy. But again, no reason to kill him. Obviously, this is not real. I heard another channel, he said in Sweden or something, the same thing happened, or France, and in another country, same exact thing with the cops on people's necks. Now, I can't verify that. I just heard that this morning. I haven't looked into it. If anybody wants to comment, let me know if that's true. I think it was France, and I forget the other country. Same exact way they killed him, with the knee on the neck and the whole 9 yards. Okay. Another thing I want to bring up about this is nothing has changed. And if you Google, I'm not going to play any clips in this. This is just me talking. But if you search in YouTube for ghetto fights, hood brawls, hood fights, project fights, you're going to see the most horrendous behavior. Horrendous. And now, when you watch those, and you'll see some where the cops have to come in, but just imagine cops coming in. These are whole neighborhoods that are out brawling in the streets. Most of us, we grew up, we never saw anything like this. This is foreign. All right, and there's another clip I'm not going to show you. I'd like to show you. There's this black and white clip of a guy from the 60s talking about how this is exactly how they wanted to infiltrate us, the communists, right? He said that they saw that a community that they could work with was the dark brown skin community here, known as the black community. I hate calling them black, and I hate referring to people as black and white, because again, that's their words. That's divisive words. There's nothing that could be more polar opposites than black and white, right? So I don't want to use that. I use lighter skin or darker skin if I must describe someone by their skin color at all, by their physical appearance. Then I'll do that. But the behavior is absolutely horrendous. So anyway, this black and white film of this guy, and he's saying how this was the modus operandi, how they work. They get in and they saw that the dark-skinned communities, which of course is the Democrat petri dish. This is where they, the Democrats are the founders of the KKK. They were for segregation. They were against Lincoln freeing the slaves, and then what they did is project it onto the Republicans or something. No, it's always been the Democrats. So this is their plantation, right? Their public housing projects. And what they did was and this was a powder keg, they put him in there. They removed the father because he couldn't get welfare if there was a dad or something. This goes back to the 70s and the 80s. They removed the dad from the homes, and then they gave them more money the more kids they have. So now you have all these kids running around, and they're unsupervised, got no dad figure, and they're pumping in Hollywood and their garbage into their TV sets, which is all Marxist communist propaganda and cultural rot, right, that they've been feeding into all the homes. And then when they go crazy out in the streets, now you bring the cops. Most of them were white cops from, suburbs, grew up, never saw this stuff. You put them out there and tell them to go now and quell the violence and the robberies and all this that these people are committing. Now, I'm not saying it's bad because they're black. My heart bleeds and feels so bad for black or dark-skinned Americans, darker skin, who are going to be lumped into this. This is going to set people's view towards these communities back 30 years. There's never been any correction. It's all just been feel-good talk. But the correction, they keep saying, the cops need to be corrected. And the cops, there may be some of that, there may be. But to not deal with the root, again, search YouTube, what I just showed you, so you can see what I'm talking about. The absolute horrendous, horrific behavior. This is the cause of much of this problem with them and the police. They curse at police. They hit police. They are totally belligerent to the police. And police are human beings. They have a job to do, and they're surrounded, and they can react to these people. I mean, when I was a kid, it was yes, sir, no, sir. And we were unsupervised kids, too, running around. We never had an issue, even though we had confrontations with some run-ins with some police over, the kids I knew and, my neighborhood. But it was respectful to police officers, and yes or no, sir, never had a problem. So the cultural rot that has taken place over the last 30 years is really, it's not good. All right. But so I digress here for a minute. I don't want to talk about that so much, although that's key. That has to be addressed. To not address that, it's like giving us a sandwich that's absolutely a hamburger. It's absolutely horrendous. The meat is rotten. The bread is stale and moldy. The tomato is mush. The lettuce is wilty. Everything about it is rotten. They give that to us and they say, you have to like it. And if you say you don't like it, there's a problem with you. Not that the burger needs to be fixed, and I'm making, of course, an analogy between this and the culture that the Democrats have raised up in these projects. It's the culture. It's a rotten burger that they're making us say is good and tasty. And if you say otherwise, you are an racist. You understand? This is the truth. This is the reality. Look, they gaslight. The people on the left are liars. All right, they've gaslighted us on everything, including the spinning ball earth that they say we live on. Of course, we don't, but that's one of the beginnings of the lies. The Bible says there's no truth in them. They are liars. They're liars and murderers and thieves. And you know who I'm talking about. The Bible outlines the bad people in the world. All right, and they control the world. And this video is probably going to get taken down, I would imagine, because, I wanted to bring this up too. We are essentially, did I say this already? I don't even know if I said this, but we are essentially, as video makers, aren't we exercising our free speech? The left claim they like free speech. They want you to be able to assemble and protest. That's your free speech with your signs saying all these different little symbolism over substance, of course. They have no substance. They always have to use their symbolism. But we, on YouTube and Google and anywhere else, are exercising our free speech, are we not? We're protesting. When I put up Flat Earth videos, I'm protesting the narrative. And I'm trying to show people the truth. We're not on a spinning ball flying through space. It's a big lie. And right now we're trying to tell people that besides this possibly being a psyop, that's going on, these last two big events, which ultimately, and a lot of you don't agree with this or don't know about this, but this is all about getting Trump out of office because he's about to expose all the global criminals and all the ones in our country. There's 65 sealed indictments, and a lot of it is for maybe Antifa and all these different organizations and a lot of the crooks. We've got a lot of crooks. Our country was corrupted decades ago. Maybe you could go further back. However, you've always had people, but we've had massive corruption. So I know I'm rambling here a little bit, but I just wanted to. I had to get these truths out that the behavior in these communities is appalling. And then you put that together with white cops from the suburbs, and or any cops go in there. It's a recipe for disaster. Anybody who wants to try to uphold law and order and decency in these communities are just vulgar, out of control, hideous. And it's not everybody. I love black people, the conservatives. I love dark skin. I don't care about your skin color. I care about, are you a decent person? Do you act respectful? Are you, But, you've heard, I pull up to cars alongside on the road and they got this supposed music this rap music going, some of it, with the most disgusting lyrics. I got to put my radio on and roll up my windows so my family doesn't hear this garbage. It's absolutely the most foul language and stuff pumping out of these cars, and they're blasting it for all to hear. And you can't dare tell them that it's wrong or to turn that off. So it's really the king with no clothes concept. We have to look at him and go, oh, they look great, the king. And meanwhile, he's naked. His pants are hanging down and he's showing you your underwear. And you got to go, hey, that's nice. Isn't that nice? Beautiful. So my heart really bleeds for darker skinned people that are going to be lumped in with this garbage. Because I know there's a lot of good people that are dark skinned, any color, that are that know the truth of this. But, and right now we can only see what's in our TV screen, right? They show us a little clip and yeah, that looks like a lot of people. And you think, wow, the whole city's burning. Well, it's not. Maybe some places it is worse than I think, but still, you're seeing what they're showing you through your TV screen. It's kind of like the rockets going up into space that aren't going into space. They're going nowhere. They're curving downward, as I've shown in one of my last Flat Earth videos. They're not going anywhere. They're just showing you in your TV, and meanwhile, and it's always about the money. The love of money is root of all evil, right? So, NASA taking in $20 billion a year. It's all about the money. Global warming, they want to tax the world for trillions of, hundreds of, tens of trillions of dollars a year. It's all about the money. So you say, well, p-brane, but the rioting, the looting, how's that about money? Well, it's the love of money that got them hooked in to the Democrat scam, right? This is how they promised them stuff. They promised them money and free food and free housing, which is essentially money. They offered them this stuff. So it's the love of money that got them into this dependency mess. And then, of course, the Dems, besides feeding them in all the Hollywood garbage on their TV screens, they pumped in DRUGSs all up in there. And then, a lot of things I said earlier in the video. And so it's a recipe for disaster. So let me circle back to my beginning. I hope some people could hear this message, but quote-unquote peaceful protesters, law-abiding, exercising your First Amendment or your Bill of Rights, exercising that, just because you can be out there doesn't mean you should. In light of the fact that I'm pointing out that you are acting as cover for these criminals to operate, looters, rioters, robbers, murderers, vandals, destroyers. You are providing cover, and you need to stop, get off the streets, and protest another way. But we're protesting, but your Democrat people, they're not for us protesting on social media. They're taking down comments, they're taking down videos. So you've been duped if you really believe that. I get that this is a communist revolution. These are and like I said, let's go back to the meat of it is Trump. Now, communism and those people around the world that are communists and Marxists, they're criminals. That goes with the behavior. They're liars, they're thieves, they're robbers, they're the mafia. They're like a global mafia. Trump is trying to take them out, and he's got a lot of stuff that's going to be declassified. They're getting ready. There's 165 sealed indictments. This means these are people going to go to jail, and maybe worse. So that's it. Just had to put this out there, and I pray for our country. Please pray, God, stop this nonsense here. And if you know people doing the protest, tell them to stop. Tell them that they are aiding and abetting these monsters, these criminals on the streets. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see what happens here. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.